Today, I'd like to share with you a conversation I had with Chiro from Unknown Devices. And Unknown Devices might be a little bit unknown at the moment, but I really think that in some time we're going to be hearing a lot from this company. Chiro started very recently, about a year and a half ago. This conversation was recorded maybe a half a year ago, but you know, kids and stuff, I couldn't really release it earlier. The thing is that I always found his work really fascinating. He joined our community on Discord quite a while back, and his questions and feedback that he gives to other people really shows a very mature way of looking at design, human-centered design, interactive experience, and art in general. I find it really interesting how he tackles design challenges. He doesn't really look at it from an engineering perspective, although he does all the programming and analog circuits in his synths. He starts with Illustrator from all programs, and he plays around with the interface and the ideas that he has in his head before he even starts patching things on Max MSP. Then he would go to Max MSP and maybe to other programs to really develop his ideas and figure out what the technology should be behind it. I think it's a very interesting process and we can learn a lot from it. Before we get started, I want to shout out to my student Dean who made this amazing drawing that I think I'll need to get the light on this. Just like, check this out. This is just insane. Now, this is not really available in any way. You can't really get it. But drop a comment below and I'll try to see if I could get another batch. If we have 5 orders, we could actually make an order. I know that some people on Discord wanted to do it, so yeah, let me know and we might start. Without further ado, I'm Roy, this is the synthux Academy, Synth Design Podcast, and this is Chiro from Unknown Devices.
I used to study architecture. I've been in architecture studies for about 7 years before realizing I didn't want to continue with the studies. And here I am now. Well, there was a bit of a path to get here, of course. I started working in prototypation while I was in university. I worked for a small let's call it prototypation brand here, prototypation studio, a small studio that only did prototypation for third party.
You mean
like,
they create the prototypes?
Yeah, but prototype of everything. It could be a 3D modeled model of a sword for a prop for
Right.
cinema, or we could do electronic stuff for I don't know, for MotoGP. We also did aerodynamic stuff for MotoGP. We did some fairing for some racing brand. We basically take every job as possible in every. We how could we call our job? We call it problem solvers.
Yeah.
Someone came with a problem. I don't know. We want to make this statue out of chocolate. We studied the problem and thought of a solution. So this led me to I don't know, study a lot of things, a lot of different part of the interest.
Yeah, different. You basically had to learn a lot of different fabrication skills, electronics, coding, whatever is needed to hack your way through and create a prototype.
True, that's it.
Cool. And then, so did this lead you towards synths, or were you always into synthesizers and electronic music? Or
no, this gave me the skills, but I got into synthesizer with a small open source project called Otto. which started as a OP1 clone, and then the main developer quickly switched to a standalone group box synthesizer. They were looking for people to help, and I got into it because it shined light through me, interested me a lot.
Right.
And so I started working with them. We talked on the Discord server. They have a Discord server, and I started at first only doing design sketches and 3D models. Then there wasn't anybody on the group that did the circuits. So I told myself why I couldn't do it myself, and I started working at the circuit, knowing nothing about synthesis, nothing about digital and analog electronics. In fact, I also did a prototype that didn't work at all. It nothing. It was a pretty big product to start my journey, to be honest. So maybe I should have started with something simpler, but it gave me the how can I say it? It started me working with the right mindset. So working like 70% of the time doing the research and the actually working on the circuit for the 30% of the time, and doing a lot of debugging on the simulation and other stuff.
Right. So how do you approach the learning phase when you don't know anything about, I assume that at the beginning you didn't really know much about electronics and coding, and then you really like, I can imagine there is this urge that you really feel like, I can do this. I need to spend enough time, but there is a huge gap. How do you cover this gap? Where do you start?
Well, I'm still in this place. I still don't know anything about what I do, and I still try to learn something bit by bit every day. My approach is to simplify the problem to the smallest thing, and then I can say, okay, maybe I cannot do this sequencer, but I can approach the pressing of a button and the microcontroller noticing the pressing. Then I can bit by bit build this modular system inside the modular
inside the module.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're talking about sequencing, you're basically saying, okay, so I need some way to control the voltage on each stage. Then how do I do this for like one stage? And from there you start developing further.
Yeah, this is it.
And are there certain methods of learning that you feel like more comfortable with? Or are you just searching online, or do you have books or YouTube channels, or like where do you like learning from?
Well, I have a bit of a problem reading stuff. I easily get distracted, so I found that my perfect place for studying is YouTube. I learn a lot of stuff from general YouTube channels. There are a lot of electronic channels like Electro Boom, science stuff. You can mix and match this knowledge and take it to your personal knowledge. And another thing to consider is there is at a certain point there is a really how can I say, a category of stuff you need to learn. You can learn by watching wood making videos about, I don't know, I watch a lot of wood making channels, and I actually think I learn a lot of stuff from them, even though I don't work with wood. Well, not often, but you can see how they, I don't know, they build a lot of jig to do every single step. There is a very famous luthier, I don't remember the name now,
Okay.
that states that he has a single instrument for every of the step for the build of a guitar. He's a very famous archtop builder. I don't remember his name now. He's probably the most famous one. And he has a single instrument for every one of the phases of the building. I don't know, the jig to route 2 holes in the neck, the jig for... so this is, I think this is applicable in every kind of job. Well, this kind of job, you can have a jig for testing modules. You can okay. I don't have an idea.
I get what you mean. I get what you mean, because if I understand it correctly, you're basically getting inspiration from things that are not directly related to electronics or programming, because in terms of problem solving, there are a lot of things that overlap, and you can get inspired by things that are not directly related to what you are doing.
Yes, at a certain point, it all becomes you're learning philosophy. You're not learning coding. At the end, the coding is nothing more than a language. You can also learn coding from English.
Yeah.
The structure of a book can represent a code. It's a code.
Yeah, when
if you watch it from outside.
Yeah, I think that this bit that you just explains gives me a bit of an understanding of how you get to your results, because you're not really coming from this world of synthesis, and you're not really sure how to code or how to do the electronics, but you just have that idea, like something inspires you, and this something might be bigger than even just music or synthesis. And then I think the results are actually quite interesting. They're quite unique at times. Can you maybe so I'm not really sure how many modules have you worked on in the last, when did you start like really producing things and sharing them online?
I started 1 year ago.
Okay.
I did a small pedal, a small run of 20 units of a pedal.
Yeah.
And with this, I decided to keep going and actually move to modular stuff. I already was into Everac, so I saw the financial appeal of Everac. It's a growing economy. Yeah. And so I decided to work on modules, and I first stated that I wanted to at least design, at least concept a couple of modules before actually starting. So I said in 1 year from now, I want to be able to launch at least 2 products, and then move from there. And now I am in the position of, I have something like 8 or 9 modules in various stages.
Yeah.
I also prepared. I wanted to show you. We already talked about it. My workflow for designing the. So I will show you my Illustrator page. Okay. So this is all I use for making concepts. they are simply placeholder for buttons and potentiometer and trim pots, etc. And you can see around the parts there is the actual footprint of the parts, so I can easily place the parts knowing if they will fit or not.
Right.
This is a simple way to make sure that my vision can be actually made. Well, this with a bit of experience, you can understand if something will fit not only in the space, but also in the usability of the module. Because if I simply place everything where it fits, it won't be playable. It would be too crowded. So I always print, like I think most of us designers do. I always print on paper my designs and check if they work, especially for touch sheeting, like this one that has this touch ring. You really need to see on paper on one-on-one scale to see if it is actually playable, doable.
So maybe you can go through these designs by one quickly to explain just shortly what they actually do and what is the thing that maybe makes them unique.
Oh yes, this one is the last one I shared. I think we talk about a bit about it. It's basically I like to call it an orbital oscillator. Actually,
Orbital
there
is
are
oscillator.
we have 4 oscillator. Those can be used as LFO or VCO, or I will get into other stuff. You could do it with this module. And what basically started my idea was I started with a concept of I want to do a module which has something to do with orbitals and gravity, and so something that derives from nature, so from something bigger, something slow, like the movement of the planets around an orbit, etc. And this concept didn't work for itself. Yeah, I needed something that could rule the relationship between these oscillator. So I came up with the idea of getting a ratio, and applying this ratio to various parameters of these oscillator, like the phase or the offset between them. So you can use a musical ratio like minor fifth, and every oscillator will be spaced out with this ratio, or part of this ratio, ratio of this ratio. And also, I don't know, I think it's really interesting to this is something I need to work out to see if it actually work, if it's useful in higher speed. But there is a parameter for the gravity of each satellite, like let's call it satellites, and so that each satellite can attract on or repel the other one. This could be really interesting when playing with low frequency oscillators. So you can see each one getting into phase and out of phase and pushing and pulling each other. I also made a small test in Max.
Mhm.
I will show it to you in a
But
second.
before you go there, I like the way that you are translating this concept that's very high level. It's very conceptual piece, I would say, as like even like an art piece, like a generative music art piece. And then you're translating it into an interface that would invite someone to use it in that way. You're not hiding the concept, you're flashing it out. What I'm curious about is how does this work in terms of like you're saying that this is a touch screen.
Well, there is a touch ring on the outside that is made out of PCB, and
Yeah.
the center circle is actually a square OLED I found online.
Right. So you're not actually touching the screen, you're touching that PCB?
Yeah. It worked like a watch ring. How it's called, the ring outside
So
watch.
each of these, yeah, I think I understand. So each of these three lines are connected together, so they would give a different signal.
Yeah, actually, these lines are only for tactile feedback.
Yeah.
There are
Okay.
each one of these section of this cutout. It's a plate. It's a conductive. It's a
Yeah.
capacitive surface,
Yeah.
all connected to a small microcontroller that analyzes the amount of capacitance in this particular region, and then can do some math to understand where the finger is now. Where
So
is
you would
the
need
finger
to
placed on the?
so you would need to hold one of the keys under and then press one of the points that you would want that oscillator to go to.
No. Think of it like more like the iPod Touch ring, where you can
Okay.
go around and speed that thing up, or go the other way and slower thing up. You can I don't know, you are in you open up the gravity panel and you can play with the ratio of the gravity.
Okay,
So
I
you
get
can
it.
go from
So
zero gravity to top gravity and so on.
okay. So I press gravity, then I select A, which is oscillator A, and then I spin my finger around this.
Yeah.
That is a
Yeah,
really interesting way of
this is
interaction.
if you want to make specific change specific parameter over a single oscillator, but each one of the page works as a global parameter. The oscillator can be changed, can be also CV controlled the one by one, but the concept is the global parameters give the real change of sounds, and the modulation all comes from this three parameter and the ratio which can be musical, non-musical, etc.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that you are actually using a screen, but you're not putting any information on the screen that is like conventional like numbers, pieces of text or whatever. You're like, no, there's no need for that. I am going to have a screen, but I'm not going to use it this way.
Yeah, this is the main concept around the screen. I don't want text. I don't want even a single number. In fact, one of the biggest issues this idea caused me, and I have still to find a solution for it, is this representation of the phases of the planets is really interesting, but it works when we are at a maximum of 2 Hertz. if we go beyond the 2 hertz, you won't see any correlation between the phases, and everything will be so fast you won't notice. You won't get nothing from the screen. So I'm now trying to understand if the screen won't be the actual representation of speed, but only of relationship. So it always spin at the same speed, I don't know, 1 hertz. And the only information you get, the only one, well, it's important information you get from it. It's the relationship between the oscillators, their phases, and their speed, their gravitational space around them, etc.
Cool.
So I started the design. I started working with a small prototype in Max, and then I quickly realized this was a problem, and I had to find something to resolve it.
Did you want to show them Max batch or?
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but I can share it to you. I really only need all this stuff to check if this thing could work or not. So you can. Oh wait. Let me...
Yeah. That's what I imagined this would be.
You can.
Wow, this would make such a beautiful module.
But you can see even at 2
Yeah, I get
hertz.
it. Yeah, you'll need to make some calculations there to maybe to limit it somehow.
I think I need
it's
to
a tricky
limit
thing to solve.
this thing. Yeah, maybe show the speed in another way. This could help. At the end, I started thinking this one was a great problem, but actually, you don't really need to show the speed of the oscillators in this module. You only need to show the relationship. I think it's more useful to know when 2 or more LFO are in phase, when they get out of phase, and so on.
Yeah. So I think that's a very interesting concept and a very interesting way of translating this concept into an interface. It's not the first time that we see people playing with the concept of relationship between different oscillators, but that is a very beautiful way of bringing this into the interface in a very conceptually pleasant way.
Yeah, because the majority of standard modules are already made. So I thought if you want to do something that people will remember, people will love, you need to make something that really hits you in some places, really get you and let you say, like, there are a lot of modules that I worship. I simply love because of this, because they can the people behind the module can show their philosophy and share it with you. You can use it at your advantage. You can make musical stuff or terrible noises, but I am not the one that should tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Another thing I think it helps with designing this stuff. I don't start with the background of the module, how things gonna work, how the oscillator gonna sound, if the filter is gonna sound good or not. I start with the interface, and the module will end up sounding good anyway. people will always find a use for this kind of sound, for this kind of module. So I think the interface is more important. That's why you won't see a lot of changes in my interfaces during the prototypation. I found out the other day, talking with Lorenzo, I found out even this module, the ISA, as something like 2 or 3 steps before getting to this concept. I can actually show it to you here.
Yeah, because I can imagine that you didn't just draw this immediately. You probably had some iterations before you got to the final result.
Not that much. Not
yeah,
that
but
much.
I mean, yeah, that's what I meant. Like, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, this one I didn't even know what the model do. This one is too crowded. I had separate controls for gravity and phase, and the last one is the one, you know. Yeah, I also tried with touch buttons for the various pages, but I ended up ditching them because having something like this one, like this, let's call it, it's a very human interface, very organic way of interacting, no? Dragging stuff. I really like the touch, the feeling of the touch interface. But when it comes to buttons, I think, especially in when you perform, you want a bit of feedback. So yeah, physical button it is.
So you mentioned that you start from the interface, but then you go to the technical side. First of all, I'm curious to know what language are you coding with, or what microcontroller are you working with to realize these ideas?
I'm coding in C++, C++, and I'm using. I started with STMs, the STM32, but you probably know that now they are practically
gone,
unfundable. Yeah, they are practically gone for normal people.
Yeah.
So I switched
what did you move
to the ESP32. It's a pretty popular developing kit for do-it-yourself. It's really cheap, and it comes with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I thought about using Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to my advantage at this point. Also, it's not as powerful as a Tensi board or I don't know, some of the other pretty stuff, but it's dual core. So you can it really opens up to a lot of less skilled developer, because with two cores you can do expensive stuff like analog to digital conversion to one core, and do the other junk stuff like displaying stuff on the OLED, or doing the actual synthesis on the other one. So and it looks like there are a lot of disponibility online. So if you want to make something, I can assure you is a good microcontroller to use.
Okay. And then, so if we go back to the interface itself and the way that you're translating it into running code, you're not trying to do anything analog at all. Everything is digital.
Yes, the only analog thing that happens in there is the channel mixing, the oscillator mixing. and there is an analog to digital converter and a digital to analog converter. So
yeah,
those are the only things that really talks analog in
yeah,
this case. There are other cases where this dichotomy of analog and digital is more strong. There is a stronger relationship between the two.
Do you start with Max MSP, or do you go directly to C++ and you just start typing?
It depends. It depends on the complexity of the thing, and if I have a clear mind of what I want to do with the code, because often it's not. Often I will need to start with Max, even though I'm not that good at Max programming. So I spend really a lot of time doing Google searches or looking up at tutorials and so on. If, for example, the patch I showed you, I spent something like 6 minutes building up the patch, and whole 3 or 4 days of vacation working on looking at forums and videos and so on.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the moments I wanna look stuff up and I get more ideas, it's when I shouldn't be working.
Yeah,
This
that's
is the sad thing.
that happens quite often. Yeah. You wanted to show another module. Maybe you want to highlight another module with its features. I don't really see here the really large one that I've seen on Instagram.
It's this one.
Yes. Is this the one with the animation on, like the cat
Yeah,
animation?
the cat animation. I will send it to you. I prepared some a folder with things to show you, and one of them was the animation.
Nice.
Of my girlfriend cats sitting on the bed, looking like a pyramid. Yes, this one was I think the first concept to get into physical prototypation stage, and sadly it still is on the first prototype because of the STM problem. I started working with the STM, and then in the middle of the crisis, so I had a couple of them spares. Then I decided that I needed a second prototype to continue working, because I made some stupid mistake on the board, some really stupid mistake on the board. and then I realized that to continue developing the module, I needed to rework the whole thing. And as the budget for prototyping was really small, I decided to first start working on smaller modules, something that could then easily finance this monstrosity.
Yeah.
You can imagine it's not that expensive to work on this stuff, but maybe it's not something I would recommend start working on like the first Aerorack.
Maybe you can explain
project.
the functionality quickly. How does it work? What's the functions we're looking at here?
Yeah, quickly, it's an alternative interface to piano keys for the Aerorack. As you most of the musical interfaces for control interfaces for Aerorack and Bukla stuff and so on are based on the piano keyboard. I wanted to be inspired by other instruments, so I I got inspired by guitars, basses, and string instruments. So each one of these horizontal stripe, can be taught as a string on a stringed instrument, and you can play like four string on a bass. So place shapes to do chords or do arpeggios and so on. You can bend the notes moving the finger up and down, and the stripes also feel your the pressure of your touch. So you can also modulate other stuff with the pressure.
Cool.
This one thing that I had to, well, one problem that I'm still facing, it's a quite big module to have on a synth. You on a rack. You have to. I don't know if people are okay with using all this estate for basically a touch controller. So I thought about working a bit more on the sequencing part of the module, because on the first prototype there was only an arpeggiator on board. And now I'm thinking about adding some kind of sequencer to it without making it like a multi-mode module, because something I started to dislike are modules that are not fish, not meat, not nothing. In Italy we say né carne né pesce, not meat, not fish.
Yeah, I get it. They don't have a specific character. They're trying to be everything.
Yeah, and this is my greatest fear with this one. If I implement a sequencer, a full-fledged sequencer, it may distract from the initial idea I had of this module. So so this is another reason I stopped working on it, for the moment.
I get it.
The same reason I stopped working on this other one I had. This one is a drum synthesizer of a Max Pacha made. And then I realized I didn't want to make a 16 plus parameter synthesizer with sub pages and so on. So it's on hold until I have a better knowledge of my philosophy on this stuff.
So if you would pick another one instrument or module that you would that you think is quite special, which one would you pick?
Okay, I'm quite challenged, but I think I'll go with this one, the Raiju one. Centering it.
Okay. Where are these names coming from?
They came from Japanese mythology, the monster of Japanese mythology. The Raiju, it's a small rat made of electricity that sleep in one of the things he does is sleeps in your navel when you're asleep. And if the god of thunder call it, then it will zap you. So you better so you better sleep with your navel down when there's thunder outside.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
That's a good
You
reference.
asked for it. Yeah. Okay.
So
this
what
one,
do we have here?
Okay. It's an envelope generator and a LPG combined. This is a good example of digital and analog interaction coexistence in a module, I think, because I started working on this module from down up. So I started with the trig and the gate signal, well, the interface of incoming signals, so gate, retriggering, CV for the various stages, and then realized there was still a lot of space on the interface, and I could add something more useful. So inspired also by the way Bukla modules are built. You often have 2 or more sub-modules in a single panel, one on bottom and one on top. And I thought about using a lot of normalization between the 2 parts of the circuit, and in this way you can use both of this part to their maximum with small effort. For example, a small example is that well, of course, the envelope is normalized to the LPG CV input, but as I used a microcontroller and I had a spare DSC output, so a spare oscillator or envelope output, I decided to normalize it to the input of the LPG. So you now have a full-fledged, I don't know, percussive voice in 8HP. Another cool thing this one has, you can output the various end of stage triggers. So when the attack phase finishes, this output can output a trigger noticing the end of the attack or the end of decay. You can choose with this button. You can self-patch it to the retriggering jack to have a looping function generator. This way I think it's interesting because this way you don't force function out of the module, but you allow the user to find this hidden function by themselves. You can use this trigger out for many different many other things before realizing you could use it as a to retrigger the same phase. This is inspired by a lot another time talking about Bukla. He made a lot of his stuff like this one, and also there is the make noise math. I can always find new patch to make with the make noise module. There are YouTubers that only only publish new patches with the math, and I think this is it's really interesting because you keep giving stuff to the user without really making a new 2.0 module or so on.
Yeah. Maybe it's interesting to have a look at a Bukla system. Like, I would love to know which modules, or maybe even like one module that you really feel inspired by and you think, I'm actually, like, I learned quite a lot from this.
Ok, allora, this one is for Lorenzo.
Okay.
Because as I said before, Lorenzo started all this thing about this Bukla stuff. My design started with these three modules. This one actually is from Keen Association. You can say it better than me.
Keen Association?
Okay. They are you should interview them. They are from Russia,
Okay.
and
Russian,
they are genius when it comes for modules. They only make like short run of modules, like 10 modules of really complex design. So
Cool.
for me, it's really mind blowing that something like this one only has something like 50 units.
50 units were made. But then did you get a hold of it?
No, of course not.
So
But I really like, well, some one thing is I really like to get as much information I can about the stuff online. I really use Google to the 200%. So I often feel like, even if I didn't ever own this stuff, I often feel like I know how this thing works. I don't even have a Bukla system yet. Lorenzo, the 1 month ago, gifted me, lent me a case for a Bukla system.
cool.
But as you can see, it's empty, and now I have to spend a lot of money to fill it. And this is it. I think the most inspiring Bukla modular system for me is the music easel.
Okay.
It's incredible what different people can do.
But that is a system. So if you're looking at the system itself, maybe you can put it on the screen. It would be interesting to see it from your own eyes. What do you find special about it? What kind of things do you really feel like this is really unique? Like this is something that brought a lot of ideas to my table, to my projects.
Well, the main part of the music easel is this thing down there. The music easel is actually a 208 sound module, and this thing changed everything about how we approach modular playing, how I approach modular, because it really became the modular system really became an instrument at this point. You can use your finger and play. I know people that can play this stuff like a good guitarist can play his guitar. You get to know the small thing in the sound, how to reach a certain tone, how to do certain stuff, and it feels really natural. So this interface resent the perfection to me when it comes to iconicism, so to something that will stay in people's mind for a lot of time. Okay, I fucked up.
What do you think makes this an instrument in comparison to other modular systems? Why do you feel like this can be compared to a guitar in the way that people play this?
Well, every modular system can be made as a as a guitar, as an instrument of itself, by its user. With the Aerorack stuff, you can find your perfect spot, something you makes you wanna say, okay, I'm done with buying and selling stuff. This is my Aerorack, and then go for 1, 2, 3 years and master the instrument. The same thing happen with the music easel, only that this one is by design. He forced you to think of it like an instrument. There is no other space for additional modules. There is this horrible expansion board that I hate so much, but there are people that loves to place expensive module on this thin part.
Yeah. Actually, Tom Wheatwell from Music Thing Modular just built like a PCB thing for there. I think.
Yeah,
it's
but the one from Tom is small and light. I've seen Aerorack adapters for modules. I have seen someone placing a magneto on it. A 2-pound module on it. Well, I was saying it's the limitation that make it an instrument. You cannot add something from the outside without adding a second synthesizer or a second rack. So you must really master the interface, know each potentiometer and slider, what does it do. There is a strong normalization between the stages. So there are a lot of things you get to know by granted. I don't know. There is a noise source normalized. I don't remember where. So you start to feel it not as a collection of modules, but a single instrument, like a desktop synthesizer or a keyboard synthesizer. And and there is the touch interface that really makes this more and more strong, more a strong idea. You have to play it with this 2-octave, 2.5 octave keyboard, and you have to use the right pressure of your hand or of your finger, like a pianist would do, like a guitarist would do with his guitar.
Would you want to see more companies, more designers, more engineers making standalone systems? Or do you see yourself as someone that at a certain point would be like, okay, I need to sit down and just build one system?
Well, that's the plan. I'm starting module by module, filling up a virtual rack on a modular grid. And when I will feel like every part of what makes a synthesizer complete, I will be ready to publish it as a standalone system, or maybe transfer what I learned about making the modules and playing this stuff, because the first user of my design, it's me. If I make an envelope generator, it's because my system lacks an envelope generator. I'm slowly building up my new system from zero. I have 2 or 3 modules from other makers. Some I really like. I really need to like a module for my mind. telling me, okay, you can buy it, because I think a lot of other rack developer feel the same. I often see a module and say, okay, I could buy it, or I could spend 10 euro less and do it myself. And then I end up working 2 years on this module and spending a lot of money for building up. And then I think at the end the it's worth, but
yeah, it's worth it, but not for the 10 euros you wanted to save.
Yeah. Maybe it's only this phase when I'm I'm a bit strict on money. I spend all my money for prototypation. So I feel this is my biggest break to buy new stuff. I want to buy a lot of things actually, but
so which ones did you actually decide? Yeah, I have to buy this.
Clouds.
Okay.
A lot of mutable instrument stuff. Every module from from mutable instruments. A lot of math. You cannot have an error rack without using maths at least once in your life. And I really like Tom Whitwell stuff. Tom Whitwell is one of the people I admire the most. I recently understood a bit more about his background, and I felt, how could this man do all this thing and also make all these great modules effortless. It seems the problem with Tom, it's everything he makes seems effortless. Seems that people are I don't know, asked him the module feature by feature, and he nailed every single feature. I don't know, he can read people's mind about what they want, or
yeah, I think it's a good way of looking at it. I would say that he just has empathy. He looks at people and he observes and tries to understand, oh, this would actually make sense, or like this is doing this or this is doing that.
Yeah, I think he is the first user of his modules.
Yeah, but I mean, funny enough, after doing so many interviews, I can tell you that there's no single person that designs synthesizers that would not say, I am making stuff for myself. True, but it's not just another DIY thing, or it's not just another module with a conventional interface. There is a twist to it. There is something that, like, you really feel like someone was thinking about this beyond the conventional process, or beyond the conventional interface or electronics, and they added something really unique that makes them like you see it and you think, yeah, you're looking at things in a bit of a different way. And I suspect that it comes from empathy, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you understood the real reason. It's empathy. It's hard to find out really, to give a name to this intelligence of knowing what people need, what people may like.
Yeah,
but maybe it's only empathy.
Well, I think it's a large part of it in general. When you're creating something, and when you're buying something, and you really feel like someone was thinking about everything here, just like you're saying with the easel. There was someone that had to make a lot of decisions. They're not just bombarding you with features. They're cutting off a lot of things to the point where they feel like this is right. This is a good balance of complexity, simplicity. This will allow people to be creative, but not overwhelm them. And it's a really tricky thing. And you just need to, know a bit of philosophy and know a bit about people and psychology, and just develop your empathy towards people to to make sure that your efforts are not just purely for yourself, because that would be a shame. But anyway, this was a really interesting conversation. We can stop the screen share.
The screen sharing, yeah.
I really enjoyed this. Thanks so much for taking the time for this.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely. And yeah, we'll be in touch on Discord. It's always nice to see what you're making, what you're working on. Please feel like open to share everything.
Sometimes I need to break myself from sharing too much, but not because I don't want people to look at modules or concept or etc. But because I really feel like sharing with people, even if they don't give you feedback, really shines a light on you about what's how's the design going, what if I'm doing things right or not. Sometimes I share on the Discord and then realize, okay, I need to make this change, because I wrote down things and realized some issues, some things that could be added, and this could be done only by talk, only by sharing.
By sharing, yeah.
I will probably make some changes to my modules after this conversation.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much, and we'll be in touch on Discord. Cheers.
Thank you, Roy.